3I Atlas emerges from behind the sun after 3 weeks of blackout. Within 6 hours, NASA initiates an unprecedented shutdown of the Deep Space Network. Every antenna, every receiver, every mission goes dark. The official reason? Critical systems evaluation. The timing, exactly when 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to Earth's orbit. The correlation? Perfect. Either NASA just chose the worst possible moment for routine maintenance or something about 3I Atlas forced their hand. But what could possibly justify cutting off humanity's entire connection to deep space? The cascade began at 1842 UTC when Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex in California ceased all transmissions. No warning to mission controllers, no gradual wind-down. Just immediate radio silence across all 70-meter and 34-meter dishes. Within an hour, Madrid followed. The Robledo station, which had been tracking Mars Express just moments before, switched off mid-data packet. By 2015 UTC, Canberra completed the blackout. The entire Deep Space Network, humanity's only link to missions beyond Earth orbit, had gone silent. The scope was staggering. Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MAVEN, and Perseverance lost contact during critical science operations. Voyager 1 and 2, after 48 years of continuous communication, suddenly orphaned in interstellar space. The James Webb Space Telescope, mid-observation of 3I Atlas itself, ceased data downlink. Even New Horizons, cruising through the Kuiper Belt, disappeared from tracking screens. In total, 47 active missions lost their lifeline to Earth simultaneously. NASA's terse statement called it a 72-hour critical systems evaluation period, but evaluations are planned months in advance. Mission teams receive detailed schedules. Contingency protocols are established. This shutdown violated every standard procedure in NASA's 65-year operational history. Internal sources speaking on condition of anonymity describe scenes of chaos at JPL and Goddard. Mission controllers ordered to leave their stations. Science teams locked out of their own data streams. Security personnel stationed at antenna sites with no explanation. The last time NASA shut down deep space communications entirely was never. Not during the Cold War, not during government shutdowns, not even during solar maximum events that threatened electronics. Yet now, just as 3I Atlas swings past Earth at its most observable point, the entire network goes dark. But what ground-based telescopes captured in those first hours explains everything. The 3I Atlas should have emerged from solar conjunction exactly where orbital mechanics predicted. Magnitude 4.2, position aligned with JPL Horizon's ephemeris to within 0.01 degrees, maintaining its steady hyperbolic trajectory out of the solar system. Instead, at 12:15 UTC on October 29th, the first post-conjunction observations from Mauna Kea showed something impossible. The object had shifted trajectory by 0.3 degrees, a deviation requiring velocity changes that no comet could produce naturally. The brightness surge defied all models. Within 4 hours of reacquisition, 3I Atlas flared to magnitude 2.8, visible to the naked eye even from light-polluted cities. That represents a 16-fold increase in brightness, far beyond what solar heating at 1.4 AU could generate. Spectroscopic analysis revealed why. The object wasn't just brightening, it was fragmenting, but not randomly. 7 distinct components maintaining perfect geometric spacing, each showing different spectral signatures. Component A, the primary mass, exhibited the familiar nickel-dominated spectrum reported earlier. Component B blazed with pure carbon emission lines, as if it were a graphite shell heated to 3000 Kelvin. Components C through G showed progressive shifts from metallic to organic signatures, a gradient that suggested deliberate composition rather than chaotic breakup. The spacing between components held steady at 200 kilometers, plus or minus 10 kilometers. Natural fragmentation creates irregular spacing that changes constantly. This pattern maintained precision to within 1%. Velocity measurements added another impossibility. While the ensemble continued on the general hyperbolic path, individual components showed lateral movements of up to 50 meters per second. They were maneuvering relative to each other, adjusting positions while maintaining overall formation. Mount Wilson Observatory recorded periodic flashes between components, synchronized bursts at 437 MHz, exactly the hydrogen spin flip frequency used for deep space communication. The European Southern Observatory captured the most disturbing detail. Gravitational microlensing measurements showed the combined mass had decreased by 30% during solar conjunction. Where did a billion tons of material go? And why did its disappearance coincide with something even stranger happening at the moon? At 1433 UTC, while 3I Atlas crossed the lunar orbital distance, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter detected something unprecedented. Seismic sensors left by Apollo missions registered synchronized tremors across the lunar surface. Not moonquakes originating from specific epicenters, but a resonance pattern affecting the entire visible hemisphere simultaneously. The frequency, 4.7 Hz, sustained for exactly 72 seconds. No known lunar process can generate global coherent vibrations. Chang'e 5's magnetometer data proved even more anomalous. The moon has no global magnetic field, just weak patches of crustal magnetism. Yet during the 72-second window, magnetic field strength surged to 100 nanoteslas, stronger than anything measured since lunar exploration began. The field geometry wasn't random. It formed a dipole aligned precisely with the 3I Atlas position vector, as if the moon had suddenly become a compass pointing at the interstellar visitor. Artemis III equipment at Shackleton Crater experienced cascading failures. Solar panels stopped collecting despite full sunlight. Battery banks drained at 10 times normal rate. Communication systems cycled through emergency reboot sequences. The habitat's radiation sensors peaked at levels suggesting a solar storm, but space weather was calm. Earth's magnetosphere showed no disturbance. The only variable was 3I Atlas passing 384,000 kilometers away. Then came the leaked Space Force briefing. The document, photographed and posted anonymously before deletion, referenced Contingency 7 Alpha and Lunar Asset Protection Protocols. It mentioned electromagnetic pulse characteristics consistent with directed energy weapons, but at power levels no human technology could generate. Most revealing was a single line. Recommend immediate implementation of communication security lockdown per planetary defense guidelines. The moon incident lasted exactly as long as 3I Atlas took to cross from lunar leading Lagrange point to trailing Lagrange point. The precision suggested scanning, systematic examination of Earth's natural satellite. But examining for what? The physics revealed an even deeper mystery. The disruption started subtly. GPS satellites reported timing discrepancies of 13 nanoseconds, enough to throw off precision navigation, but small enough to blame on atmospheric distortion. Then Iridium constellation nodes began dropping connections. Not hardware failures, but signal corruption in specific frequency bands. The pattern spread across the electromagnetic spectrum in waves, each pulse timed to the 3I Atlas's rotation period of 7.34 hours. X-band communications, used for deep space missions, showed amplitude modulation at 143 Hz. That frequency doesn't appear in any natural or human-made source. It's prime number times another prime, 11 times 13, a mathematical signature suggesting intention. K-band signals experienced phase shifts that encoded a repeating 1679-bit pattern. Cryptographers recognized the significance immediately. 1679 equals 23 times 73, both prime. The same structure as the Arecibo message humanity sent to space in 1974. Military radar systems detected something more concerning. Synthetic aperture radar, designed to image through clouds and darkness, showed ghosting effects when pointed within 10 degrees of 3I Atlas. The ghost images weren't random noise. They showed geometric patterns, nested spheres, intersecting tori, configurations that resembled four-dimensional objects projected into three-dimensional space. The patterns changed every 7.34 hours, synchronized with the object's rotation. Commercial aviation reported compass deviations up to 5 degrees when flight paths crossed 3I Atlas's celestial position. Submarine navigation systems lost acoustic positioning when the object was above the horizon. Even atomic clocks, accurate to 1 second per billion years, showed coordinated drift of 10 nanoseconds per hour. The drift rate decreased with distance from 3I Atlas, following an inverse square law, exactly like a field effect. SETI researchers, scanning 3I Atlas, detected narrowband emissions at wavelengths corresponding to hyperfine transitions of hydrogen, helium, and lithium, the first three elements. The signal strength, 100 million times stronger than any known natural maser emission. The modulation, structured patterns that passed every test for artificial origin. NASA's sudden shutdown began to make sense. If 3I Atlas was actively probing or interfering with human technology, continuing normal operations might provide it with critical information about our capabilities. But NASA wasn't the only agency to reach this conclusion. Within 2 hours of NASA's shutdown, ESA's Cebreros deep space antenna in Spain went offline. The official notice cited urgent technical evaluation, nearly identical language to NASA's statement. The timing wasn't coincidental. Roscosmos followed 4 hours later. Every Russian deep space tracking station from Yevpatoria to Baikonur ceased operations simultaneously. The Russian statement was even more vague: planned system optimization. But Roscosmos doesn't do anything simultaneously. Their infrastructure is deliberately distributed to prevent single points of failure. This coordinated shutdown required orders from the highest levels. JAXA's leaked memo changed everything. The document, authenticated by multiple sources, contained two words that had never appeared in official space agency documentation: containment protocols. It referenced a 2019 agreement between major space agencies about anomalous object response procedures. The agreement was supposedly about asteroid defense, but asteroids don't require communication blackouts. The coordination without visible coordination suggested two possibilities. Either every space agency independently reached the same conclusion about 3I Atlas, or there was a communication channel between them that bypassed normal diplomatic routes. But what were they coordinating against? NASA's official statement, released 6 hours after shutdown, contained 147 words of technical jargon that said nothing. Evaluating an unusual confluence of technical parameters requiring comprehensive system analysis. When pressed, the administrator added only that the shutdown was precautionary and temporary. No mention of 3I Atlas, no acknowledgement of the timing correlation, just bureaucratic deflection refined to an art form. The solar storm hypothesis collapsed immediately. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center showed calm conditions across all metrics. Solar wind speed, normal. Proton flux, minimal. Geomagnetic indices, quiet. The sun was in its most peaceful state in months. If this was about space weather, it was weather that didn't register on any sensor. Technical upgrade theories faced a different problem. Upgrades require hardware changes, software patches, testing protocols. None of that was happening. Technicians at Goldstone reported being ordered to leave equipment untouched. No maintenance vehicles at Madrid. No activity at Canberra beyond security patrols. The antennas sat idle, powered but not operating, like someone had simply pressed pause on the entire network. The contact protocol hypothesis gained traction among researchers familiar with SETI post-detection policies. The Rio scale, measuring importance of potential contact events, includes provisions for information embargo during initial assessment. But those protocols involve slow, careful verification over weeks or months, not emergency shutdowns within hours. Unless the contact wasn't potential but actual. Unless 3I Atlas had already made its intentions clear through actions that couldn't be misinterpreted. Retired NASA Flight Director Gene Kranz, speaking off the record, offered the most chilling perspective. We shut down communications for only one reason: when continuing to communicate becomes more dangerous than silence. But silence itself was evidence, and when combined with everything else that happened on October 29th, that evidence pointed to only one explanation. The evidence chain is unbreakable. 3I Atlas emerges from solar conjunction with altered trajectory and impossible fragmentation patterns. Within hours, NASA initiates unprecedented shutdown. International agencies follow in coordinated response without visible coordination. Military systems take over tracking while civilian science goes dark. The moon shows signs of systematic scanning. Earth's communication infrastructure experiences structured interference at mathematically significant frequencies. 3 explanations remain viable. Coincidence requires believing that multiple independent anomalies randomly aligned with perfect timing. That NASA coincidentally chose this exact moment for its first ever complete shutdown. That international agencies coincidentally reached identical decisions. That the moon coincidentally experienced its first global resonance event. The probability calculation approaches zero. Cover-up implies human agencies know something about 3I Atlas that justifies extreme measures. Perhaps earlier classified observations revealed its true nature. Perhaps the object communicated directly with military systems using channels hidden from civilian science. Perhaps what looks like fragmentation is actually deployment of something requiring immediate containment, but cover-ups require consensus. Getting every major space agency to coordinate requires a threat everyone recognizes. Contact is the simplest explanation fitting all data. 3I Atlas demonstrated non-natural capabilities. It interfered with human technology in structured, purposeful ways. It possibly scanned Earth's moon with unknown intent. The shutdown represents humanity's first response to confirmed non-human intelligence, a pause to prevent further interaction until we understand what we're dealing with. When communications resume, if they resume, the data backlog will reveal what 3I Atlas did during closest approach. Whether it continued, fragmenting, whether it transmitted, whether it responded to our silence with actions of its own. The truth will emerge eventually. Physics doesn't respect classification. Other nations have telescopes. Amateur astronomers keep watching. But the very fact of the shutdown already answers the biggest question. NASA doesn't shut down for comets. They shut down for something that rewrites the rules. October 29, 2025 marks either history's most poorly timed maintenance window or the moment humanity's relationship with the cosmos fundamentally changed. The Deep Space Network remains silent. 3i Atlas continues its passage. And somewhere in classified channels, decisions are being made that will determine whether we're still alone in the universe or have just received our first visitor. The evidence points one direction. The silence speaks louder than any statement. Something weird didn't just happen with 3i Atlas. Something weird is still happening, and NASA knows exactly what it is.